Boy, I've been waiting a long time to get this guy back on the show, Brownie. Geoff Collins, one of our favorite people.
He is the former Temple, Georgia Tech head coach. He's also been an assistant throughout the Southeastern Conference, including Alabama. That's where he first got to know Coach, was when he was over in Tuscaloosa. And would listen to our show Out Recruiting because that's just how bored you get when you're out recruiting. What's up, Coach? How are you?
Hey, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming back on with us. Coach is on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. How, because I'm going to guess 30 years of coaching. Am I close on that one?
27, 28, yeah, right around there.
Yeah, 27, 28. How difficult is it to adjust to an off season where you're kind of taking a beat there?
Yeah, it's actually getting to take my daughter to school every day, pick her up from school. I'm in the carpool line. I go on all the field trips. We've got a nice little daddy-daughter thing at noon at her school that I've got to run to. But it's been, I miss the fellas. I miss all the coaches, all of those kind of things. But getting to be a girl dad for a little bit has been pretty nice, man.
Hey, can we start in the ACC? Clemson the last couple of years, the offense has seemed broken. And Dabo goes outside of the program, splash hire. Garrett Riley brings him in. Spring game still looked out of sync. But Cade Klubnik is one of those quarterbacks where we saw him early on against you guys, a little spark to that offense, and seems to have a ton of potential.
Well, one of the nice things about being in the position that I'm in, I got to go and be a guest at a lot of practices across the country during spring ball, even the tail end of last season. And I went over to Clemson and watched the practice. And obviously Dabo's done a great job there for a long time. And just seeing the development and the way the guys are vibing with the offense. And Cade is a great player. And you can just see him from the second he steps onto the practice field, the energy, the confidence, the way the guys in that program rally around him. I'm excited to see, this new generation of the Clemson offense.
I've seen Nick have to deal with it with Jalen and Tua. When Dabo's in a situation like that, and maybe you've been around it in coaching too, you've got one quarterback who got you to one position and was pretty good, but you had the young guy waiting like Klubnik to come in. How tough is it in season to make that switch as a head coach? Because it looked like Dabo struggled with that a lot last year.
Well, the interesting thing, my 2 years at Temple, we had a quarterback change both years. And, for whatever reason in both seasons, it led us to winning 5 out of the last 6. It led us to winning 7 of the last 8. So you just kind of got to know your team. You got to know your program and know when to make that decision. And, Dabo, as you said, has been doing this a long time. Got a lot of respect for him and his program.
I'm interested. You've been to Mississippi State before.
Yep.
If you were offering Zach Arnett a little piece of advice, and not that he's asking anybody for advice, what would you say to him with that fan base and that recruiting base? Because recruiting well. I like what he's doing in changing the offense after the passing of Mike Leach. What would you say to Zach Arnett? Because you know that program really well.
I do. And, one of the biggest things is the people that he's brought back into the program. David Turner to coach the defensive line, one of the most well-respected defensive line coaches in the country. He and I had a great run together our last 2 years on defense at Mississippi State. He's back. Chad Bumpus, one of the legends of that program in Starkville, leaves a Pac-12 championship Utah program to come back home to be involved in that program. Greg Knox comes back. And then Kevin Barbay, the offensive coordinator, he and I worked together when I was the defense coordinator at the University of Florida, and he's been groomed and trained by Jim McElwain, who's no stranger to the show, won a national championship as an offensive coordinator at Alabama, and just excited about the pieces that he's got coming back to Starkville, to be a part of what he's building.
You were part of, Coach Geoff Collins is with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. You were a part of that first staff in Tuscaloosa with Nick Saban, and so was Kevin Steele, and now he is back in Tuscaloosa. This is a guy Alabama fans obviously are familiar with. They've seen him at Auburn. They've seen him at Tennessee. Coach has been around the block now. But what is it like for Kevin Steele to walk back into that facility after all those years, do you think? What can Alabama fans expect from this?
Yeah, just the familiarity with the system, the familiarity with Coach and how he wants the defense run, the day-to-day operation. I knew we were going to talk about Kevin a little bit. I've got a tremendous amount of respect for him. On that staff in 2007, It was Kevin Steele's defense coordinator. Kirby Smart was there. Bo Davis, who's now the D-line coach at Texas. Lance Thompson, who's made a couple of trips over there in Tuscaloosa. And the off-the-field guys on defense were me and Jeremy Pruitt. And it was just the level of ball and the conversations and the growth and development with that group of guys. And to see what Kevin's done since he's left the program and built some great defenses at Auburn, had a really good defense last year at Miami. But the familiarity with Coach's system and the way Coach operates and the way Coach wants things structured, I think is going to be great.
I mean, I know that is not unique to that coaching room that you just described to us, but there are a lot of alpha males that you just reeled off right there. I mean, how tough is that on a coordinator, on Kevin Steele, to kind of reel in those alpha males and be like, look, it's, we all got opinions, but I'm the boss here on the defense.
I think he understands that. He understands what he's getting into, and I think Kevin is well set from his belief and his abilities and the understanding of what Coach wants in the day-to-day. I think he's going to be great.
You got a taste the last couple of years of NIL and transfer portal. And you guys, and Brown brought this up. We had Nick Saban on the show. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, yeah.
No, it was Trent Dilfer. I get confused. Sorry about
Trent
about
Dilfer
that,
was
Jeff.
last week.
Yeah, so when Dilfer was in studio with us, he was like, I'm really not working more hours when Brown asked him, because that seems hard to believe.
He was a high school coach in Nashville,
yeah. And it just seems like it's more on your plate as a head coach, obviously, when you're having to deal with guys coming in and out of the program nonstop, and when guys wanting NIL deals and guys wanting more money. It seems like it's a lot more on the plate.
It's a great deal. The last couple of years have been just the seismic shifts that have happened in college football. Not to mention the COVID season that we went through. Then they introduced the portal and NIL. So it's just an adjustment for everybody. And I just think it's the allotment of your time and having trusted assistants that know what you want in the program and can execute it so that they can take things off your plate. So the people that are around you are very, very critical just to execute the vision you have as a head coach so that you can deal and allot your time to the new world that we're in.
I want to ask you about one former player who's now with our buddy Matt Rule at Nebraska, Jeff Sims.
Yep.
Looks like he's going to win that starting job. And I was reading this morning where Matt kept the quarterbacks alive in a lot of the scrimmages, and it really showed off what Jeff could do. Tell us what Nebraska fans are getting in Jeff Sims.
Yeah, just excited about Jeff. Just a great player, great young man. I was a part of that process because Matt and I, you talk about the length of my coaching career. My first coordinator job was at Albright College. I'm the defensive coordinator, Division III Albright College, and Matt Rule is my linebackers coach. And then we go to Western Carolina. I'm the defensive coordinator for 4 years. Matt Rule is my linebackers coach. And then the relationships that we had in his 10 years at Temple, and then me taking over that program. So Matt and I are as close as you can possibly be. And as the recruitment process went on, the Jeff Sims fits perfectly into who Matt is. He's so talented, first of all, but he's so coachable, wants to be the very best, wants to be a great teammate, first in, last to leave, all of the things that Matt believes in. Jeff has it, and he's unbelievably talented too. So I'm just excited about both of them. A player that I love and one of my dearest friends in the world, getting to work together.
If I took you back to 2008 and asked you which were you most surprised by, that Kirby Smart is now recognized as the hottest coach in college sports as a head coach and has gone back-to-back and has a chance at a three-peat, or that Nick Saban is still the head coach at Alabama as we get ready for the 2023 season. Which one surprises you the most?
That's a great question. I don't know if I can even go back my mind that far to 2008. But just the respect that I have for both of them. I'll speak on Kirby first. When I first got to Alabama, Kirby was a rising star from Valdosta State and all of these other things that he had made his way to that place that he was at. And I didn't really know Kirby at the time. And you have these unformed opinions of someone being lucky or, getting some good breaks. And then I get in the building with Kirby day in and day out, and am just blown away by his intelligence, the way he connects to players, his relentless nature in recruiting, how well he connects, how he understands the scheme, and was not shocked at all in the rise that he continued to have. Unbelievable success as a coordinator at Alabama, and then being the head coach at Georgia and just turning that program around. I was over there at a practice probably a month ago, and I think the picture of me at a Georgia practice took the internet by surprise a little bit. The phone calls I'm getting from cousins and high school buddies and all of these other things. But, just Kirby and I are close, went to visit with the defensive staff, watched practice, and the way they run the practice, the way they run the program, the energy, the attention to detail. I haven't been able to see it because I was at Florida going against them, and then my 6 years as a head coach, so I didn't get to get over there. But watching that program in action, the way Kirby's got it set up, the way the foundation is built, just excited for him and proud of him, what he's done in his career.
Okay, so Dunaway took you back to 2007. I'm going to take you back to 96 when you were in the Bronx, New York, coaching at Fordham. Because, Coach, one of my first times in New York City was in the month of October, and it was years ago, and I couldn't find a good bar to go watch games at. But the more and more I got to know New York City, it's one of my favorite places to go in the fall because you find all of these little sects of different, USC fans, Georgia fans, Arizona State fans. They've got their own bar. Did you realize when you were there that New York City is kind of a hidden gem for college football watching?
Yeah, it's amazing. I still distinct memory. You're talking about October in New York City. We win a game at Fordham. My wife has tickets to a Broadway show. I'm from Atlanta. I'm not a Broadway guy, but I went with her. And then we leave the Broadway show at whatever time, 9:30, whatever. The Yankees had just won the World Series. And in a matter of 30 minutes, and this was pre-social media, in a matter of 30 minutes, Times Square goes from 40,000 people to 200K in a matter of minutes. And just the level of energy and the excitement and just the college football scene, as you said, is underrated because there's different bars and different spots that people will just go and flood to cheer for their favorite SEC team or ACC team or whatever it is.
Coach, before you go, I do want to let you brag on a couple of your players. First of all,
Yes.
you recruited Jahmyr Gibbs to Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Alabama fans got to see a lot of him, and now Detroit Lions fans will.
Yep.
This guy, he's got a unique skill set for a running back.
He's amazing. 12th pick in the draft. I couldn't be more proud of him. Obviously, it hurt when he did transfer, I'll be honest with you. But just the level of respect and the love that I have for Jahmyr, and just to see his dreams come true was just so awesome. And I don't know if you guys have gotten to know Jahmyr, but incredibly talented, but one of the most humble souls that you will ever find. Selfless, great teammate, and just tremendously gifted. I went to a high school game of his where he ran for over 400. But during the game, they had a receiver on the other side that his team wasn't able to stop. And I watched him on the sideline go to his coach and like, hey, coach, put me in, let me play some corner. And it was done. So not only, he just wanted to make an impact, he wanted to win. And I just think so highly of Jahmyr and just so happy for him. And I guess nowadays I get to play fantasy football now. So Jahmyr might be one of my top picks off the board.
Get Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit. You also recruited Keon White. I read somewhere that this is the first time I think since like 2010, Georgia Tech had two players drafted to the top 50. Keon White in the top 50 as well at New England. I want you to talk about him, but I also want to ask you, Bill Belichick's one of the greatest defensive minds in the history of the game. Like when he calls you or his front office calls you to pick you, how does that conversation go when he calls you about a player?
So this was, and I won't bring it up, but this is last Wednesday. It's probably a 15-point text thread message back and forth about Keon. And just the more I communicated with him and started telling them about Keon and who he was, and the question was how is he going to fit with Coach Belichick and the Patriot way and all those things. Those are my words saying the Patriot way. But the more I was just sold and was just convinced Keon is a perfect fit for Coach Belichick in that program. He's so focused. He's so serious. Attention to detail, business-like. He's a pro's pro in college. And so him going to that next level, I'm just fired up for him. Just a great worker, great young man.
And I'm just going to give you the context. I'm not asking you about this situation, but here's why I asked this question. Eli Ricks, the Alabama defensive back, transfer from LSU, went undrafted. TJ Hushmanzada, a former NFL player, said, boy, Nick Saban must have dogged him. No, I'm not asking you about that, but as a coach, and I said this yesterday, you owe it to all of your players to be honest with NFL coaches, right? When they call you and ask if a guy has dogged it a little bit or didn't come to the meetings, you owe it to the guys that did it the right way to be honest with the NFL about that guy, don't you?
Yeah, well, I think one of the biggest things, and I think most coaches are this way, they want to be positive with their guys, and they want to tell the truth about their guys and where they think they are going to be placed in the NFL. I've not witnessed it in person, coaches dogging one of their players or even a former player. I've never seen it. I think a lot of times it's what's left unsaid. That's one of the things, but I just don't see in this day and age of guys dogging, former players, whether they're with them in the program or if they left to go somewhere else. I just don't, I've never done it. And,
Well said. Geoff Collins, friend of ours, great coach. We look forward to seeing you back on the sidelines, but we also look forward to talking to you on the show, Coach. It's good catching up again.
And if
absolutely. Appreciate it, guys.
And if we send you a link to our fantasy football league, you're
right.
in. You've already said you're in, so there you go.
Let's go.
Take care, Coach. Enjoy the tea party this afternoon.
Yeah. All right.
All right. That is Geoff Collins, the former Georgia Tech and Temple head coach. Spent time in Tuscaloosa, Mississippi State, Florida. Guys coach all around. He'll coach again. He's a good defensive mind.